This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by Icom America. Okay.
We got a group shot. There we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Katie Allen, WY7YL, here in Sundance, Wyoming, and I'd like to welcome everyone who is watching live tonight, hanging out in the chat room with us, or if you're watching on the replay on YouTube. Today is Tuesday, May 6th, and it is actually finally a nice day here in Wyoming. We've had a lot of thunderstorms lately, as happens at this time of the year. So if you're new to our show, first of all, welcome. Glad you could join us and check us out. Tonight should be a fun one, as always. If you haven't joined us on Facebook, we have a very active group there. If you just click the link up there in the chat or on the top of the website, you can join up with us. We've got over 6,700 people in the group now. We're regularly active, talking about getting on the air together, sharing projects, talking about new hams, all kinds of new things. Bill WZ1L, who's one of our regulars, just shared some of his new hams that he helped license this past week. So we like to do all kinds of fun stuff like that. It's a really good group to be a part of, and no flaming or anything like that. It's all positive and shiny, happy people there, as the old song goes. Also, I would just want to let you know, if you're listening perhaps on shortwave, I'd like to welcome you there. If you're listening on the world famous WBCQ on 5130 kilohertz. That transmitter is located in Monticello, Maine, and hopefully by now they are finally thawed out. So tonight we've got a star-studded cast with Michael Kalter from Hamvention, and we've got Dave Casler from just below me down in Colorado, and Mr. Riley Hollingsworth out there. Riley, where the heck do you live? I forgot.
Gettysburg.
Oh, out in Gettysburg. And then, of course, our wonderful host, Tom Medlin, W5KUB. With that, Tom, why don't you start the show here?
All right, cool. If I can get the right camera on here. Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
Oh, uh-oh.
Hey, there we go. Cameraman, I'm going to dock your pay if you do that one more time. All right, guys. All right. Hey, thanks, Katie, for the introduction here and opening the show. It's going to be a good show tonight. Boy, we got a lot of interesting things to talk about tonight, so stick around for the whole show. Don't go away, man. We're going to give you a lot of information toward the end of the show about our trip to Hamvention and all the things we'll be doing and dates and times and stuff like that. So I know everybody is really anxious to know what's going on up there. We've got a great guest on tonight, Michael Kalter, W8CI, he's a board member and I think the treasurer and also the official spokesperson for the Dayton Ham Fest. And here I go, Katie, I should have wrote this down. I was going to have, you were going to show a picture first, right, Katie?
Oh no, I'll do that after. I'm still trying to get it.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So let's jump on. Let's jump on with Michael here. Michael, cameraman. We're going to Michael. Here we go. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Sorry, I'm a little bit late getting on. I hope you can hear me okay. Let me do that check. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, hear you okay. Great. Yep.
Okay. I am actually here at the Expo Center and just finished a big meeting. Been here most of the day. Just so much to do to get ready. But we're excited to have all the guests come. We're excited for everybody to come back this year. Getting a lot of things done. And the weather is spectacular right now. It's just beautiful.
Well, of course, we always watch the weather and look at that 10-day out forecast, but it always changes, You'll never know till you kind of get there.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, we're only thinking warm and dry thoughts.
That's right. That's right. Warm and dry. So, hey, Michael, I've got a couple pictures here, too. And, I don't know what all you got to tell us tonight, but I understand that you're making some improvements to, let's see. Did I have, I don't know if, I don't have the video here. I saw a video where you guys are putting some asphalt type stuff down in the track out there. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we are. It's kind of a joint effort between the county, Greene County, and the city of Xenia, and the township, Xenia Township, and all working together with the Fair Board. And they're bringing these grindings. When they take the road up, they take these grindings, and it's kind of a fine mix with the asphalt and stuff in it. And and they put that down, and then they spread it out. Then they roll it. It's just like a road. I am really impressed. And so whether we get 100% done with it, I don't know, but we sure are working hard on it every chance that we get. And the weather's looking good now, so we'll be able to get much more headway done on it. So that's our plan on that. We're excited.
Well, cool. And Michael, I'm sure there may be questions that come in the chat room. Guys, here's your chance. If you want to ask Michael questions, throw them in the chat room. We won't open the phone lines. That'll take too long. People get on here and talk too long. So just post your question here, and I'll try to read it to Michael there. And Michael, I know that, hey, you've got a new type tent coming up, for Building 6?
Yeah, that looks a lot like it. Yep. And you see the nice lighting in there. Have good airflow. And we are structuring. As a matter of fact, they've started today. They got here this morning, and they're beginning to put these things up. And the tent size, we'll have as much in tents as we did last year. And plus, we have the mercantile building, and we still have to turn some vendors away, if they get in too late. But we're really excited about it. And for not having a new building at this time, these tents I think are going to work really well. I've seen them at other events, and this is a lot higher class tent than we had last year. We were not happy with the quality and style. Here it's a marked improvement, and they are markedly more expensive. But we want to run a class act here, really a 5-star event. So we went with spending more money on them.
Well, it really looks good, and it's kind of like a portable building instead of a tent from my research there. You guys have been getting a lot of help and a lot of people working with you from the county and I guess the state and everything. In fact, even the road people, I see the road people are putting up new signs and everything there.
I thought you might like that road sign.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So
but you haven't paid all your money on that sign yet. But we're putting Katie's up for free. So
that's true. That's true. Well, we owe a little bit more there. Hey guys, just let me mention go to the website hamvention.org. If you this site has everything on it. Anything you want to know, you can find it on this site. It's really cool. And hey, Michael, anything you want to say about this? This is the layout minus the flea market area.
Right. Yeah, it's all the air handling. Some of them were pretty noisy last year, and getting those done. We're pressure washing places that we think are too dirty. I went out and got a pressure washer this morning and brought it in for us to use. And just kind of touching things up. Are you trying to say something there?
No.
Okay. But the picnic tables are going to be laid out differently and better. We're going to have more shade places for people to sit at. But yeah, I can ask for a better team to work with in this fair board. And actually, our whole Hamvention team, all the committee chairs and all the volunteers it's quite an event to put on with a bunch of volunteers who work other jobs and do other things, including myself.
Well, I like the way it's laid out here. In fact, the center there is kind of a focal point. A lot of all your food's right out there in the center near the flagpole. That's kind of cool, and everybody's already talking about the food. They're ready to come.
Well, we've upgraded the food. We've got more food trucks coming of what I would call more of the home cooking, healthy types of food. And I know that people want these things on a stick or whatever that they got at Hera. But
healthy? Is that all? There's nothing
like
for the rest of us?
Salads and stuff?
No, but there's did you come last year? Were all of you there last year?
No.
Oh,
this
well,
may be my first year if I can pull it off.
We have the Cattlemen's Association come, and Greene County is a rural community for the most part, and so they slaughter their their cattle and bring it right here for us, and they've got steaks that you just can't believe, and they're reasonably priced. We got pork chops like that. We've got homemade chicken noodles, potatoes. I can't even tell you everything. It's just wonderful, and we will have beer for sale. The county will here, so we're really looking forward to a good time, and I can't wait to see everybody again and come in and hope that everybody's happy with all the new improvements that we've made.
Well, you know, there was a question here. Are you adding any more flea market spaces? Now, there's a lot of spaces here.
Well, you know, there's a point where we do have to stop with the spaces, and we are trying hard to utilize as many spaces as we can and as practical. But there is a lot of space there, and hoping that the rain isn't so bad. But I think these roads are definitely going to help. Us. So, and I want to tell people to be sure that use the off-site parking as much as possible. You can park here on the campground, on the property, but it's so much easier really to just come in. And then you're going to say, well, what if I got all this stuff and I got to carry it back? Well, what you can do, we have a place where you can check in. If you want to get a boat anchor, and you can take it up to, there's a checkpoint area, and you can leave your radio or whatever you're buying there, and then go get your car and after you get on the bus, and just there's a quick special way you'll be able to come in, just in and out, pick it up and go. And we think that that could be a help. So we're going to try it this year and see how that works.
Hey, Michael, we've got a couple questions that have come in on the chat room. Someone was asking if there's shaded, or Bill wants to know, will there be some shaded areas for relaxation? Or I guess maybe that's like, are some of the picnic tables going to be under a shade or a tent or anything?
No, we want people to leave there just burn up from the sunshine.
Perfect.
We don't want anybody to sit down and relax. The vendors want them out to buy things. Or what are you thinking? No. Actually, we are going to have the fair people, expo center people here are putting up more tents for places where people can get out of the shade, because we are predicting just beautiful weather, a lot of sunshine, and the tents won't be there for the rain. They'll be there to get you out of the sun.
Hey, Michael, I didn't notice too much last year, but at Hera over the years, I noticed on the main days of the show, all your cell phones stopped working. Now I don't think that was an issue last year. Is anything being done special to have cell phone service there, or is it just in a better area?
Well, I will tell you that my friend Tim Duffy used to work in the cell phone business, and I talked to him about that, and he made calls and got some things checked out for us. But we have had some pretty good cell phone coverage. Now, if you come here with one of these super off brands, I don't know how that's going to work, but generally we had really good coverage. Don't know how well it's all going to be inside the building, but outside it was great last year.
Joe, K0NEB is wondering if they're going to have beer steins for sale again this year.
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there was another question Jill had, I think. Oh, darn it. Now I got to scroll back up here. Beer stein. Somebody wants to get some deep fried bacon on a stick, dip in maple syrup. So that's like an entire day's calorie in one stick.
Well,
there might be a place they can get that. I don't know for sure.
Well,
but
and you know what? Hey, I'm looking forward to it, Michael. I've been on a diet for 60 days plus now. I've lost 28 pounds. I'm going to try to lose maybe 2 or 3 more before next week. And then, I'm going to eat donuts and steaks, and I'm going to eat everything here, man. I'm looking forward to it.
And gain it all back in one
I'm
day.
looking forward to it.
Let me just say a couple more things before you move away from me, is that we have an extra forum room going on this year too. So we will have be sure that you look closely at the forum schedule. There's some pretty exciting things happening with that forum schedule this year. So we're even going to have we're going to try to have this. This will be our first year where vendors can come in and they get about 5 minutes to talk about their latest, greatest product that they have, and meet us at the booth later and take a look at it. So we're going to see how that's going to go. They want me to be the MC of that, so I'll be bringing people on stage, let them talk a couple of minutes and move on. But I think it's a pretty good idea, and the media will be in there. I'm sure they'll be taking pictures if you have a new product or whatever. You want to showcase.
I have somebody else asking a question. If has his own power mobility scooter and a utility wagon that's attached to it, he's allowed to bring that, right?
Well, I don't understand what it looks like.
Well, he wanted to make sure that he would be able to navigate around Hamvention on his own power motor scooter. It's not required to like rent one from the facility.
I don't know that we allow motor scooters. If it's 3 or 4 wheels, it's okay. If it's 2 wheels, we all have to talk about that.
I think Michael, he's saying he'd like to bring his own scooter, but he also has a trailer behind it.
And maybe buy some boat anchors.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, to be able to throw his stuff in the back.
but it can't be a 2-wheel one. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
All right. Hopefully that helps out, Douglas, for what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other new thing that is going to be kind of interesting is that whole area for emergency communications. You're going to have a bunch of vehicles set up and demonstration area, I think.
Absolutely. We have many of those coming in from all over the country.
Oh, great.
But the theme this year is serving the community. And so we're trying to emphasize that even more, especially in this day and age of, it seems like we get these major disasters every week, be it weather or flooding or volcanoes or earthquakes, fires. So how do we deal with that? And what is our, and we become much more of a global community. And how can we do that on a global basis?
Right.
And
I think it's perfect timing, like you said, with particularly this past year with so many different disasters that we faced, and and of course, your ham of the year this year, Val Hotzfeld and V9L, all the work she did down in Puerto Rico after the storms down there is just such a great example of how ham radio is such an important aspect to be able to help keep communications going. So hopefully everybody will have a chance who's going to be there to see Val, and hopefully we can get her by the booth, Tom, to say hi to everybody and let people ask some questions to her too.
It's a big place. If you see her, tell her to come by. I may not even run into her there. And Michael, come by. We're moving our schedule just a little bit. Astronaut Wheelock will be with us on Saturday now instead of Friday. So come by, and I want you to meet him and talk with him.
Well, I like to. I enjoy talking with him, and I wanted to talk to you. I've been talking to, I'm pretty good friends with folks that run the Orlando Hamvention as well as the Huntsville. And they're all coming as our guests, and because people think we're in a big competition, we really are trying to support each other, and we talk about best practices. How can we help each other? Maybe we might want to arrange something with you, Tom, and we can come over and you can interview all of us at once.
That's a great idea.
Sure. And the Huntsville guys usually come by every time and get on with us. Mark, I forget Mark's last name. He's the new chairman now down at Huntsville, and I know I'll be seeing him.
Michael, could I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
A couple of years before you stopped using the Hare Arena, I carved my call sign in one of those hot dogs on the rotisserie and put it back on the rotisserie. Do you ever know what happened to that? I saw it for a year or two afterwards, but have you seen it since? I hope it doesn't show up at the new place.
No, I think it went to the Marconi Museum.
Okay.
I think that was one of the hot dogs I got a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could find that thing actually, because that could be a good emblem or motif for us for Hamvention next year.
That'd be funny. Oh, I just saw another question pop up for you, Michael.
Right.
Will any of the forums be out on? Let me try that again. Will anything be recorded as a webcast or for either future or live? I know obviously Tom won't be in there, but I know there's been some other webcasters that have done that in the past. Will there be anybody doing any of that this year?
Katie, they're mostly interested, I think, in forums and technical discussions.
Right. That's what I mean.
We typically
Yeah.
don't get in
Let me
here
go
and do
ahead.
those because it takes 2 or 3 hours of our time and it takes us away from the show. But I know other people do those, like Icom and different people. I think there will be some out there. Do you know, Michael?
Usually, I know I get recorded when I do forums in different places, and I don't arrange that. I get an email or a phone call, and some producer does that on their own. And
Okay.
generally, we don't have enough manpower, equipment to record every one.
I think that probably many of those will be recorded. They won't be live, but you will see them on YouTube. After Hamvention, they'll be there.
Right. So Riley, I'd like to see you get out there one of these Hamventions pretty soon.
I'm planning on next year. And sitting here, I just had the greatest idea. If you'd come to Gettysburg this summer, my brother-in-law he calls them souvenirs, but it's actually genuine imitation Civil War junk. But we could rent a Robert E. Lee costume, and you could wear that around town and sign autographs. We'd be a big hit.
He does look a little like Robert E. Lee.
This is double.
Yeah.
Charge maybe $1 an autograph.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Michael,
I'm getting that extinguished look.
Michael, I know you're busy. I know there's another meeting going on now, and the reason Ron didn't join you tonight. I'm not trying to run you off, but if you want to stay and answer questions, that's fine.
Let me make one more comment, and I will move away because for your other guests would like to talk. I appreciate having me on first, get this done. But first off, thanks to all of you for what you do, and it's getting, communicating about amateur radio and our hobby in the media that you do. It's great. It's lots of fun. I hear positive comments all the time about all these shows, especially yours, Tom. Yours does really, really well. And second of all, I know this. I got to thinking about you today, Tom, how much work this must be every week for all of you to get ready for this. What am I going to talk about? I got all this equipment to get together, and then to get the right stuff on that back work table to make herself look like she's really into making this. That's pretty impressive. But at any rate, thank you all. And if people have more questions, I am good on QRZ, Whiskey 8 Charlie India, and I'll look forward to seeing everybody at Hamvention. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Michael. We'll
you.
look forward to seeing you next week.
We'll see you
Looking
next
forward to
week.
it.
Next week.
All right.
Yep.
We really appreciate it. Thank you. All right. That was a great update from Michael Kalter there at Hamvention. I think he was out at the new facilities. So, man, we're excited, man. 1 week to go. This is the slowest week in history, I think, of any year. What do you think, Katie? The week just slows down, doesn't it?
No, it goes too fast because I'm trying to do all these last minute things to prepare and get everything done for work and scheduled, and no, it goes by too fast.
Yeah, well, okay, so it goes fast for you. Sometimes it's slow for us. I don't know, but we don't want to wish our life away, but I'll tell you what, boy,
No.
This will be about our 38th year. Boy, we Hamvention has been more than half of our lifetime, and I tell you, I can remember every Sunday when it's over and we jump in the car and we head back, we always start planning that minute on what we're going to do the next year. That's just how much fun it's always been.
It's a lot of work, that's for sure. And certainly from, like my side as being a vendor there, the things that I have to do, I'm preparing, my job has multiple aspects to it. So I'm preparing things that will be scheduled out ahead of time and then trying to get things organized for the live segments that I'll do, and just making sure everything is ready to go. Plus, regular things like, this weekend, Mom and I went shopping because I really needed new shoes for the show. I've been wearing some decent shoes, but I always end up with these horrible leg cramps in the middle of the night because I don't have good enough shoes after standing on concrete all day long. So I went out and bought myself some new sneakers this year. We'll see how those do for me. But, it's all little things like, I got a new phone today because I really needed one that works better. Since I use my phone mostly for my job, I'm, doing all my live casting on it and posting. So, it's all these little things like that I'm, trying to run around and get ready for and, prepare for traveling and, even things like having dresses for evening events, because for me and everybody with my company, by the time, the show is over and we're leaving the venue, we go back to the hotel and then we get dressed up and go out to different dinners. And so they're really long days and they're so much fun and we love seeing everybody. But it's a huge amount of work. And I think for people who are able to watch the show live on KUB, it really makes a big difference because it's a way to participate. And I know certainly when you've been at things like Huntsville Ham Fest, and I haven't been able to go. I really like being able to log on and watch and chat with everybody, and it's always fun to have people have opportunity to win a prize, and so it's a really neat way for people to be able to still participate without necessarily going there. But I always say everybody who's a ham should at least try to get to Hamvention once, and especially now at the new venue. Boy, I tell you, it's amazing. It's really such a nice facility. And I really hats off to the Hamvention planning crowd from DARA. That is, I forgot how many people are volunteers. Jill, who's here in our chat room all the time and a big help with W5KUB, she's a regular volunteer. And they have, I think, over 400 people that volunteer every day for so many different aspects. And it literally, just like you, Tom, as soon as one event is over, they're planning for the next one. It's just an immense amount of work, and they really put their hearts and souls into it. And as Michael said, this is a second full-time job for a lot of them. They already have regular jobs, and then they're doing this. So it's a huge time commitment, but they all do it because they love it. And we all love going for it.
Yeah, it's a nice venue, and they're working out any of the bugs. Back at Hera, and we loved Hera for 35 years, but we were outside for like 32 or 33 years, and I'd get lost. I could never remember how to maneuver around in those buildings, the silver arena, this arena, that arena. You never could. And I've talked to a lot of people. Everybody had the same problem. Once you go in that building, you're almost lost. You don't understand how it all hooks together. But, the nice thing about the fairgrounds now, it's laid out really straightforward, and you see it all, from standing there at the flagpole, where everything is.
Yeah, the only downside is that you got to remember sometimes I walk out of a building and forget where I'm going. And last year I was trying to get to the YLRL forum, and finally, I had to ask a few people because it was way off, and I think it's an administration building or something, and it's kind of way on the outskirts of all of the other buildings. But once you get out there and get the lay of the land, it's amazing that you learn it a lot quicker than you did Hera, that's for sure. I mean, it took me a few years to finally get down with Hera about which way to work around and who would be where, and now it's just a matter of remembering who's in what building, which it'll take some time, especially with people moving around. And with my company, with HRO, we're in two buildings. We're in building 3, which is our big booth, and then we're in building 2, and we have a smaller booth there, and that's the same building that you're in, and ARL's in there, so I get to have my husband nearby because he'll be volunteering in the ARL booth. So it's kind of, and also there's some indoor bathrooms in that building, so that's kind of handy. Make sure you tell Kathy that.
Yeah, all right. Well,
those are important things.
Yeah, and you were talking about new shoes. Usually Kathy buys me new tennis shoes every year about this time because mine get so muddy and so bad looking, I don't take good care of them. So I'm kind of looking forward to a new pair of tennis shoes, in the next couple of days here. There was a question, are we going to run HF on a trip? Yes, we are. I'll tell you all about that later. I'll give you a lot of detail later. So, Katie, you've been up to something. You have a picture of something there you were going to show us tonight. What's been going on?
Oh, yeah. Let me pull that up real quick. Well, this past weekend, actually on Sunday, where the heck? Oh, there it is, share screens. Jerry, WY7JB here in Sundance, is our instructor extraordinaire here in the county. He has been teaching classes, and I think he's licensed he's helped teach and ultimately get well over 50 hams licensed, maybe more like 100. I'm not even sure now. Let me see. So on Sunday, Oh, no, I don't. My Skype's asking if I want to install something new. So this was our group of new hams. We had all 6 people tested and all 6 passed. And it was kind of fun because it was all families there. So on the left are our friends Gary and Zeta. And then Jerry's right there in the red shirt with the badge, and that's WY7JB. Now, Brady down here is his grandson. Now, he is the 3rd grandchild of Jerry to get licensed, and we've participated as VEs with his other grandkids, which has been a lot of fun. And his Brady's older brother Hunter actually earned his general class when he was about 9, if memory serves me correct. He's one of the youngest generals in the state here. And then this is Will. That's Zeta's brother, and then his son Kyle and his girlfriend Charlie. So it was really all in the family, but it was a lot of fun to get everybody licensed and see them all happening. So that's one of the things that I'm doing here in the county is I realized with all these new people we've got licensed, we haven't really been doing some very good follow-up, which is, something I talk about, and then I haven't really been following up on myself. And we have our WY7SS, which is our club call station, and we've been talking for probably 2 years now about starting a club here. And so I think kind of having, we had a discussion going on in our group for the YLs and talking about starting a club and what's involved. And so that kind of all these different things happening have really inspired me to get off my you-know-what and actually make things happen. So I've already started putting together information on the Constitution. And I talked to the group on Sunday after the test sessions were over to talk to them about having a ham club and different things we could do. And everyone seemed really excited and interested in that. So I'm going to reach out to all of our hams here in the county and those that we've licensed in the past year or two and get a first meeting going shortly and get our club organized and kind of revamp our Facebook page that we already have, but we haven't really done much with it. So I'm going to turn that into a more active club page and really put together a schedule with some really good teaching opportunities, and particularly for the new hams about, finding their first radio and getting on the air and doing some kits. Joe, I'll be talking to you about what would be a good activity to do for that and other things. So we have, so many different things we can talk about, and there's so many resources out there. So I'm really kind of excited. It's, giving me something new to do, and it's something that I feel like we haven't done well out here, and, full blame on myself because, it's one thing to talk about it, but, until the rubber hits the road, which is what I'm doing now. So I'm having the rubber hit the road and making things happen. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm hoping that we'll have some good turnouts and activities and really grow our ham radio active folks out here in Crook County. So that's kind of the news that is fit to report from here in Sundance, Wyoming.
Well, that sounds cool, and it sounds like you've really, really been busy there, Katie. And hey, keep up the good work there. Hey, we're going to see you next week.
Yes.
In Xenia. So coming up in the show, guys, we got Riley here in just a minute. We got Dave coming up here after Riley. I've got a lot of announcements and some special information to give you. We got a lot of high impact stuff to give you here tonight. So we're getting close, and we need to get this information out to you. So let's everybody take a standby just for a second, and we'll be right back. Spring is in the air. Check out Icom's line of D-Star radios. Icom offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. Stay connected around the world with Icom's D-Star radios. Icom's newest D-Star handheld is ready for the season ahead. Lightweight, compact, and tough, the new ID31A Plus is a great choice for any shack or those in harsh environments. It has 70-centimeter analog digital, a terminal mode, access point mode, and IPX7 weatherproofing. The ID51A Plus 2 provides extended D-Star coverage, allowing you to listen wherever you may go. It has terminal access mode, send and receive text messages and pictures, DV fast data mode, and easy FM repeater settings. Compact and user-friendly, the ID4100A is D-Star mobile with a big rig feature. Its intuitive interface, variety of operating modes, and Bluetooth capability make this a perfect D-Star option for those on the go. It has an integrated GPS receiver, new dot matrix display for enhanced DR mode and GPS information, terminal mode and access point mode. has applications for iOS and Android devices and a micro SD card slot for voice and data. Visit www.icommerica.com/amateur for more information on Icom radios. Hey guys, we're back. We're back, and let's see what's coming up here next. Let me turn this echo off here. All right. Stay tuned, guys. We got a lot coming up here. Hey, Riley, we got Riley with us tonight. I don't know if Riley has some questions to answer that you guys have sent in and posted. And I know we always have the question about what about 7200 and all that. And I was listening to him today. So yeah, Riley, what are we gonna do about 7200, man? Riley, how you doing tonight? Let's see if I can get Riley in here. There we go.
You hear me?
How you doing, Riley?
Okay, I wanted to pick up a few older questions. One, the chat quite a while ago said, mute my speaker here.
Yeah, I got a
Minute here.
what you call it there? Echo.
All right, how about that? Is that okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay. I had said a while back on your show that I could tell from the demographics from going to Hamfest that the demographics of amateur radio were getting a little bit scary because we're all getting older, and I just did not see a lot of young people in there as much as I wanted. And one of your chat line comments was that you can't judge the demographics of the amateur radio service by looking at Hamfest because young people today use other methods. They use Facebook, they use chat lines, instant messenger, and the internet, and they're just not meeting goers. And that's true. I admit that's true. But the point is, if you looked at May QST on the silent keys, it's a full page, and it was last month too. And the point is that the Grim Reaper takes a wider swath of us every year, and we've got to bring in young people, and that's why things like the things that Katie is doing is so important, and we've got to continue to engage them. And a lot of these people will come to club meetings or go to club study sessions, and they get their license, and then they don't have any more contact with the club, and that's where we're making a mistake. And a year later, they're bored. A kid today with Voxer or WhatsApp can talk all over the world. So a 2-meter repeater is not going to be interesting for very long. And so we've got to engage them and show them all the many aspects of amateur radio. That was from the chat line. K5YFO sent a question a while back saying that I'm told Pactor 4 is authorized on 60 meters by amateur licensees because the frequencies are controlled by NTIA and not the FCC Part 97. I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out, and I will send you an email about that and get you the answer. N2EY had sent a question: why are there so many electronic noise makers, RFI junk on the market, and why doesn't the FCC do more about that? And then also the second part of the question was, why does it take years to get some of these people off the air who repeatedly break the rules? At least related to federal charges or forfeiture collection. First, on the RFI junk, the problem that the FCC has, it's been shrinking, budget's been shrinking, but RFI junk is exploding on the market. And so they really just can't keep up with it, and that's where the league comes in, and I'll get to that in a minute as to how they help the FCC. But every time you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, there's another device in there that uses RF communications, and there's just junk everywhere and a lot of cheap imports, and there's no way to keep up with eBay, and there's no way to keep up with the imports from China. It's just almost an impossible task, but it certainly isn't easier because the FCC has shrunk over the years, and even in the last 2 years has lost about half of its engineers. The question as to why it takes so long to get somebody off the air is there's two aspects to that. One is a lot of what you hear on the air is not a rule violation, it's stupidity. And so we have to go by the rules. And if it's not a rule violation, if it's bad conduct or arguing or just stupidity or just somebody making a fool of themselves, that's not against the rules. It's not against the rules to rant and rave. In the cases where there are clear violations or where there's a forfeiture collection, the Justice Department comes into play to get a collection order. And I remember having a conversation with the U.S. Attorney out in California years ago on a case we were working on where a fellow out there was deliberately interfering and ended up with going to jail twice. He didn't learn very fast. It took 2 jail terms to get him straightened out. But I said, why can't you act faster? Why can't you move faster on this? Because timing is 51% of enforcement. And he said, and I didn't really have an answer for this. He said, you need to keep one thing in perspective. Your problems and your service are idiots with microphones. My problems are white-collar fraud, tax evasion, college loan delinquencies, opioid epidemic, murders, and everything else. He said, your guy, if he was standing in the square of some town threatening to blow up a school, that would be different. But your guy is an idiot with a microphone. And the people that complain about him have to listen to him deliberately because they have to tune in to hear him. So we have to keep that in perspective compared to the problems that I have as a U.S. attorney. And I really didn't have a good answer to that. He makes a very good point. But overall, they do a good job. In some cities, there are minimum amounts that they will move to collect. I know in one case out in Los Angeles, in California, it was $30,000 as a minimum before they would even start a case. But that's why it takes so long. But the FCC eventually gets them, and they'll eventually get off the air. But it's very, very frustrating because, to my mind, timeliness is 51% of enforcement, and as a deterrent and as a penalty. And it's just a shame that it does take so long, but it's just the reality today. You can't have big agencies and small agencies, or big government and small government at the same time. And when the FCC loses half its engineers and half the field offices closed.
Well, Riley, I've got a question for you, Riley, and I may be wrong here, but I know that when you turn it over for the
why does the FCC cater to the ARRL? The ARRL is just a big radio club.
Yeah, Riley, can you hear me?
Riley. First of all, the FCC doesn't cater to the league. I wish it catered more, but it doesn't.
Are you hearing Tom?
I don't think Riley's hearing me. Riley, can you hear me?
I hope that most of you listening or watching remember what BPL, broadband over power line. That was a threat, biggest threat to amateur radio I can remember. That worried me more than anything else because the FCC was on a bandwagon to get this BPL through, and BPL caused devastating interference to amateur radio frequencies. And Motorola had made a device that was very cheap, very inexpensive, and it would notch out amateur frequencies. But the FCC wasn't even going to insist on that. For some reason, whether it was a direction from the White House or Congress, the FCC was on an absolute bandwagon to get BPL deployed. And it was a very sorry technology, and I heard the interference that BPL caused to virtually all our bands. So it took the league to Ed Hare and Mike Gruber, the office up there, did a lot of research on that and a lot of science, and the league ended up taking the FCC to court, and the league won. And I remember at the appellate court hearing, I was concerned that the judges might not know really much about amateur radio, because sometimes you think judges are in a hurry, they got a big caseload, so these people aren't going to understand amateur radio. But thanks to the appellate firm that the league hired, these judges really understood amateur radio, and based on their questions, you could tell that they had done their homework and they really understood it. And the ruling was against the FCC. The FCC lost the BPL case. And the judge that wrote the opinion said that the FCC had cherry-picked its scientific, being told by court that that case. But that Pellet law firm was incredible, and
Starting to hear, get a
and we
little.
won and been recognizable today. I can guarantee all.
All right, Riley's starting to break up a little bit. I don't know.
The only thing standing between.
Dave's going to text him.
Riley, let me see if I can get his attention. Watch this. Watch this.
Yeah.
We don't have 2 or 3 representatives.
Hey, Riley. Hey, Riley. Riley. Riley.
I can't hear you.
Are you there?
Hold on a second.
Riley. Can you hear me, Riley?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. All right. Hey, Riley. I was going to ask you a question a minute ago, but I couldn't get in.
Okay.
I know when they
Breaking up.
who's breaking up? Am I breaking up?
Yeah, breaking up is hard to do.
Oh, yeah, it is. Hey, Riley. So this may be wrong, but I understand maybe in some cases where the FCC has turned it over to the Justice Department, and you go through all this prosecution and stuff. Some of these hams on the other end may be lawyers themselves, and they know how to play the system, and they can file, for extensions, and they can do this and they can do that, and they can string this thing on for 10 years. Has anything like that happened that you know about?
Well, I don't know that they can deliberately string it out by these petitions and so forth. It does delay it somewhat, but the fact is the FCC has one administrative law judge, and he has a lot of different cases related to cable TV and everything else. And amateur radio just sometimes has to wait its turn. And as I just said about the Justice Department, could you all hear me about the U.S. Attorney conversation?
Yeah.
You're pretty good. They look at our problem. They have to take our problems in perspective and weigh it in regard to their priorities. And when you get down to it, our basic problems are a couple of idiots with microphones around the country. And so the U.S. Attorney is going to put that on the back burner. But in all legal proceedings, you could drag it out by filing things. But I don't think that the filings themselves are the problem. In the recent case of Crowell out in California, the commission just ruled that the judge did not need to be disqualified. And that took a long time to do that. But we have one administrative law judge, and the commission is continually cut back in all types of staff, and it's just going to take longer when you do that. So it just takes a long time. The last question I got was related to other instances of RF junk. And I wanted to fold this into the league too. I just said that the league is the only representative amateur radio has. It would be good if we had 2 or 3 representatives that could go to the World Radio Conferences or the ITU, go to these meetings, could lobby Congress and so forth, but we don't. But when the question related to the proliferation of RF junk on the market, which, as I said earlier, has exploded, but it's the lab up there at the league that often buys these things and tests them. The FCC should buy all of them and test them, but they really can't do it due to time and budget constraints. But it was the league that discovered the radio interference caused by the Eaton arc fault breakers, which is a new requirement now in a lot of building codes or electrical codes that you have an arc fault detector in your box, your utility box, on circuits going to bedrooms. So the league worked with Eaton and got all that straightened out. Eaton straightened out the problem, and the Eaton breakers do not cause any problems now. And the league has also worked with the people that make LED street lights. Cities are going crazy to get out the LED street lights for energy savings. Some of them cause terrible interference, and the league discovered that and has tested them and worked with manufacturers. So it's very important that we have a representative in Washington. And if you had been down at the FCC today, on the 8th floor, as they affectionately call it, where the commissioners and the chairman are, in the lobby there waiting to talk to them, there'd be standing room only. because you have Motorola, you have Nextel, and you have Sprint, CBS, NBC, the internet companies, everybody waiting to ply their trade and make their point with the commissioners. And we don't have anybody else to do that. I certainly couldn't afford to spend a month at a IT conference. I certainly couldn't afford to go test all the Eaton arc fault breakers and so forth. So it's the league doing that. And so we need to understand whether it's the league or somebody else, we've got to have some representative that represents amateur radio. When a company comes in wanting to have, say, 2-meter frequencies for one of their purposes, who else is going to go down and argue against that at the commission? I couldn't even do it. I couldn't keep up with it, and just wouldn't have the ability to do that. The average amateur wouldn't. So it takes some organization that follows all of the petitions for rulemaking, all the requests, all of the daily digests of the FCC, and so forth.
Well, that's been a lot of information, Riley. Now, you've done a talk before about the big knob. Well, what's the deal about the big knob? Does that mean just don't listen to this crap? Just turn to another frequency?
You know, part of the problem, and the U.S. Attorney pointed this out. He said, a lot of your guys complain about somebody that they deliberately listen to. And they deliberately, because they've tuned in, they hear them and they complain about it. And he said, that's totally different from our problem of somebody being an immediate threat. He said, a lot of the complaints that I see from your cases is somebody that's tuned in to a frequency and then complained about it. And I got to thinking about that. And we do have thousands of discrete frequencies. We have many different modes, and we can do dozens of things from PSK 31 to AM to CW to whatever, contesting and everything else. And then, so I went back and I researched QST magazine over the last 40, 50 years. And I noticed that in all of the advertisements for amateur equipment, even the ones in the present QST, in every one of those, all of the transceivers or transmitters in the old days and receivers had one big knob. And to me, that is telling you, tune away, go someplace else, don't listen to it. That knob is the big knob for a reason, so that you can tune that thing away from what you're hearing and don't engage, and just don't give these people any fodder or credibility. The Orientals have a saying about Americans that we will lose butt to save face. And I've heard it often on 20 meters when the fellow in Canada baits Americans and they come on and start arguing and he sits back and listens. We just take the bait every time. But sometimes the best reaction to problems like that is just to tune away and have no reaction at all. And that's why even the 7300 I've got here, which is one of the newest rigs, I really like it, has one big knob. And I remember as a kid looking at an Allied radio catalog and you'd see a transmitter or receiver and you'd say, well, that's got 40 controls, but this one over here has 77 controls. That's got to be better, and this has got more tubes. Even in those days, there was one big knob, and that's telling you something. That's a very subtle hint that just don't engage them and just go somewhere else.
Well, you know, Riley, it's interesting to me that I guess if anything good comes out of this, it's somehow all the bad actors seem to stay on one frequency. They're not all, you know, on every frequency just causing mayhem everywhere. It's kind of like there's this one little island they stay on, and that's where they like to make trouble. I mean,
well, that's a good point. I don't know how many of you remember the W6NUT repeater case in California. That was one of the big enforcement cases that we started with in 1999 and 2000. And I remember talking to the owner of that repeater, and I told him what was coming. And he said, well, are you sure you want to do this? Because I admit my repeater's terrible and there's all kinds of crazy people on here, but if you come after my repeater, you're going to spread them out to other repeaters. You'll never keep up with them. And he was right. He was right. So for some reason, they do congregate around certain frequencies. It used to be 14,313. Now 7,200 is an embarrassment. But overall, for the number of licensees that we have and all the privileges that we have, our problems are very minimal. But fortunately, they do congregate on certain frequencies.
Riley, in my videos, I put one up today on what I called on-air bullying. It had to do with a new ham who found himself running afoul of one of these people. Mm-hmm. And I wish I had waited and recorded what you just had to say and put that in my video instead. Because it makes so much, it makes so much sense. That's what I told people was, if two people are angry at each other on ham radio, they're not in the same room. The guy can't hit you. Mm-hmm. He can't come up to you. You are perfectly capable of walking away from that. And here's a bunch of things that you can do to keep that problem from becoming a problem. I added some subtleties, like I get comments. When you get 35,000 subscribers, you get comments. And in fact, I've got so many, I just hired a guy today to help me with them. But there are a few. And I tried something. I tried, the old adage that a soft answer turneth away wrath. And I've turned a couple of those people into allies. Mm-hmm. Some I can't, and that's what the delete key is for on a computer. It's the same thing as turning that big knob. I like that, and I'd like your permission to quote little sections of your excellent speech in the next video that I do on that subject.
Oh, absolutely, no problem at all. And I've noticed that when we first got back into enforcement in 1999 and 2000, 75 meters was a big problem. And it was an embarrassment. We got hundreds and hundreds of complaints about it. And I would listen to these people on 75 meters, and they would complain about the young people coming into amateur radio, not knowing what they're doing, and these technicians and so forth. But these guys were extras or advanced, and they had all passed the code test. I never had, unless it was a mental case, I never had one serious problem with a technician class licensee that couldn't be readily worked out on the telephone. They would sound like they were having a heart attack when you call them, but when you talk to them, what they did was absolutely innocent. But on 75 meters, you would hear people, and they would, to this day, they will complain about the code being eliminated, but you can bet they haven't made a CW contact in 25 years. Yeah. It's typically on 75 meters, and probably 7,200. They're using 1,200 watts to talk across the state. They don't like new people, new ideas, and they're all our more advanced licensees. And so I hear these things about dumbing down our license structure because of the technician. That's not true at all. If there's any dumbing down, it probably started all over the country in all areas with multiple choice questions. Maybe that's it. But it isn't dumbed down. I guarantee you that 90% of the people I've heard complaining about the elimination of the code requirement hadn't worked a code, hadn't worked CW in years and years. And I was a victim of this thinking too, because when we first started enforcement, I decided I needed to make a trip down to DC to talk to the policy and rules people. And I told them, you guys stay out of enforcement and we will stay out of policy and rules, because you can't blend those two. But I had heard that there was some talk of eliminating the code requirement. So I told a fellow, I said, but I will say one thing, if you eliminate the CW requirement, you're crazy. And he just looked at me without batting an eye and said, you think so? Well, go back and look over the next 6 months at your 10 worst cases across the country and tell me if they ever passed the code test. So I did that and polled all the field offices, looked at all the complaints that had been sent in. The 10 worst cases were all advanced and extra. They had all passed code tests. So we just have this idea that if we had to walk uphill to school, everybody else does too. But that's not where the enforcement problems come from. Not the technicians, it's not the people not knowing. Today, when you look at these units that we have, you can't smoke them, which is kind of a disappointment. You can't burn them up. They have so many self-protection features. If you go out of band, they beep and tell you that. But in the older days, you could, when you had to tune the plate and dip the plate or whatever it was.
Dip the plate.
But when you look at the questions on the exams in those days, they're very small. But technician, I think, has 426 in the question pool. And it's not the new people coming in that's the problem. It's the old seasoned veterans that think they know everything. It's not the new people. I never had, like I said, unless it was mental, I never had a serious problem that couldn't easily be worked out with the technician licensee. But also, part of our problem is that, and we need this, but we're a cross-section of society. And so we're going to have all types of people on our bands, people with mental problems, people with drug problems or alcohol problems. I don't know if you've ever watched that TV show, Young Sheldon. It's a takeoff of Big Bang Theory. I was watching it the other night, and Sheldon had gotten devastated because he got a B+ on a math exam. And he never gotten below an A. And he had forgotten or got distracted and forgotten to show his work. So Sheldon is saying, this is horrible. I've got to turn my life around. I can't live like this. I could turn into a drug addict or a lawyer. And that's what I think about on the band. We got everybody. Drug addicts, lawyers, there's all kinds of people on our bands because we are a cross-section of society. But overall, the problems are minimal compared to the activity and the number of licensees. But like I say, even remember the Kachina, the first computer radio that came out?
Oh, yes.
I guess the precursor to the Flex. But anyway, even it had an option thing you could buy with a big knob that you could tune if you didn't want to use the mouse. So 90% of the problems on our bands can be solved if somebody just goes away and has no reaction. But it reminds me of about 3 years ago over in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, there was a big sinkhole that occurred in the street, and the Red Cross was trying to move some people out and help them with another apartment. And this one lady was on the evening news, ranting crazy. I got rights. I don't have to move. I've got rights. I'm not going to move anywhere. I'm thinking, well, stay there then and go in another sinkhole if it comes up. But on the band, people will say that. They're getting interference, they have rights, and they don't have to move. But not canalized. We have thousands of discrete frequencies that we can use. And people should just take advantage of that. That would solve an awful lot. That's the end of my sermon.
All right. Well, hey, it was a good sermon. I think most of us listened the whole time and didn't even fall asleep. So you did real good there, Riley. We'll continue to ask for questions. If you guys have questions for Riley, post them on our Facebook group, and I'll forward them on over to Riley. And Riley, we need to have you on here every couple of weeks, to have a little talk like this, answer questions.
I would enjoy it. I don't get to all the emails as quickly as I'd like to, but I will get them eventually.
Well, all right, Riley. Well, thanks so much for everything tonight, and we're going to move on with the show. And
good seeing you guys, and Katie, it's great seeing you, and I hope you enjoy Dave.
Thanks, Riley. Good to see you too.
Yeah, and see, Katie is still with us. Usually she falls asleep early.
I know. I'm awake today for some reason.
Well, that's because Riley's on the show.
That's right, yeah.
The first time I ever met you, you had purple hair. I thought it was really cool.
Hey
it was
guys,
pink, not purple.
Have you noticed Katie has a haircut? Has anybody in the chat room noticed that tonight?
Which hair?
Actually,
which hair?
This one right here.
Oh, okay. That's why I didn't notice it.
And actually, it's just kind of trimmed up. It's been this length for a while now, but I usually have it wavy. But my hairstylist decided to flat iron today so she could add some more texture. But I feel like it's kind of fun. Something
maybe
different.
that'd be an incentive for Dwayne to try to do something with his hair.
He needs a haircut, something terrible. He's getting one just before we go to Dayton. He's looking pretty much like a hippie right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I need to get one too. All right, so okay, guys, let's move on here. It's a little after 9, and we want to get
Hi, Riley.
we want to get some Ask Dave in here and see what's been going on with Dave, and I'm sure he's got some questions that he might want to provide some answers to. So.
Well,
how you doing, Dave? And
First,
did you get any questions tonight, Dave?
Well, yeah, there is one major one I want to talk about because it's just right up the line with what Riley had. Riley is, I've been asked by this, change the subject totally here. I was asked by the league to put together an article based on Ask Dave number 40. I had a hard time remembering back that far, but it was something that I did on the symbolism in the seal of the Federal Communications Commission. And so Riley has that article in his in basket and has promised to take a look at that, which will probably take him about 5 minutes because that's all the information that's in there. And I tried something very different today. I'm thinking to myself, I'm at the point where I don't know, if you looked at my most recent video, you'll discover that being bipolar, I'm one of the mental cases that Riley has to deal with, I guess. I'm bipolar, and my medications have been outstanding, and I've been on these since 2007. They have just given me a new life. It's wonderful. I remember my wife saying she was delighted to have her husband back. Well, now she's got about 2 husbands because medications make people gain weight. I fought it and fought it and fought it, and the ice cream won. So I'm undergoing a complete medication change, and unfortunately, some people go through withdrawal with their heroin. There's also something called serotonin discontinuation syndrome.
Oh, that's nasty.
It is very nasty. I told people in that video that I felt like an inner city junkie. And so I'm still kind of getting over that. But my wife told me today, she said, you're a YouTuber. It's nice to take a couple weeks off, but you got to get back to work, buddy. So today see, the thing is, I actually make just a little bit of money out of this. She's really used to that. So we don't budget it. We don't budget it, so it's extra money. And so she's real easy to, could I have? And of course, I am too. I'll just, well, let's see. This is my next thing to review. But I get things. This is a new light that I just got for the channel that was paid for with channel funds here. So, yeah, it is making a little money. Anyway, I said I got to get some help with these videos. I was about 50 to 60 Ask Daves behind because, Riley, there's a little form on my website where people can send me questions, and they do. And my theory on it is this. It doesn't matter how dumb or straightforward or off the wall a question is, it's going to get a straight answer. Because it honestly, these people don't know. Somebody tells them that if the sun comes up, their antenna will melt. I mean, they're frightened. And so they come to me and say, what does the sun do to my antenna? Well, I might take the time to point out that the sun is a wonderful RF source. And how in the Air Force we used to use the sun to adjust the pointing of our radar antennas.
They're genuine questions. And
and I treat them as genuine questions.
I told somebody in the FCC once, I said, this may be the 350th time you've gotten this question, but this is the first time this caller's ever asked it. So respect that.
Yes, yes. So I got a question today. Usually the Ask Dave questions are fairly short. I used to try to answer them, but I keep finding that I have this run-on problem with my fingers. So it would take me hours every day to go through the questions. So I hired a guy yesterday. He's a college film school student. He's halfway through film school. So he already understands YouTube. He understands lighting. He understands sound. He understands all that. What he doesn't understand is ham radio, and we're going to fix that. But today was the first video I've done with 2 people. He is now the official Ask Dave editor.
Good.
And the very first Ask Dave that we tackled was this poor guy who was just thought, based on what he was told about how wonderful ham radio is, he got on the air and was what he called bullied. And he probably was. It was probably bullying. And he didn't know about big knobs and off switches and stuff like that. And he came away feeling that amateur radio was something that he was going to pass on.
Right. I've seen that.
Yes, over and over and over again. So what I put in the video, what I said, just goes right in with what Riley says. Basically, I said, the first thing to remember is the golden rule, and the way it's phrased in ham radio is be the ham you want others to be. Be the ham who mentors others. Be the ham who answers people's questions. Be the ham who helps people who don't have their AF amplifiers set up right. Or be the ham who helps some poor schmuck get the microphone up near his face or use proper procedures and so on. Be the ham you want others to be.
Well, you know, Dave, this is particularly important to licensees who studied on their own. There's often people that study on their own and they get the license and they try to get on and they have nobody helping them. I mean, the first time you went hunting or fishing, you probably didn't go by yourself. I know I got into, with the exception of help on learning the Morse code, when I was 13 or 14, I got the license myself and studied myself. And I didn't even have an SWR meter. I had a Gotham vertical on the rose trellis.
Oh, I've heard about those.
With no radials. And I seemed to do okay until I discovered that you should use an SWR meter. And somebody loaned me one, and once I saw the SWR, I was never able to get out again. I seemed to do okay. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that because I didn't go through it.
Well, you know, I was kind of like that myself. I got my license at BYU, and there was a wonderful radio club there. I had lots of fun. I tried really hard to date one of the girls there. Unfortunately, she wouldn't have me, so had to marry a non-ham. My wife's a ham now. She's my second wife. She is a ham. She knew that she needed to get that before I married her. But be that as it may, we had a great club. But as soon as I graduated, I went out and the Montrose, California Amateur Radio Club. I live in Montrose, Colorado right now. Montrose, California Amateur Radio Club. We'd go to the meetings, friend of mine and I, both novices. We found each other on the air, and we became each other's best on-the-air buddies. We took our code from 5 words a minute up to 18 before we decided we were ready to go face the FCC LA field office. And in that club, I remember one time a key, a J38, came up for auction.
Got one right here.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of them. A marvelous key. The problem is I didn't have a key. And I kept telling the guys, I've only got $3. I just graduated from college. I have zero money. I need a key. Help me. They finally took pity on me and sold me the key for $3. It took all $3 that I had. But that's all the help I got out of them. I am self-mentored. I didn't know what an SWR meter really was either. I connected my HW16 directly to the 14 AVQ up on the chimney, and like you say, DX was the rest of California. But I remember those days. I remember one question I remember was, there was in the book, in an ARRL publication, a statement that said something to effect, a lot of new hams often ask how long should the cable be to get to the antenna? And then it says, well, long enough to reach the antenna, of course. Ha, 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 ha. And I'm going to myself, but aren't there different lengths act in different ways? I mean, what is the answer to that question? Well, the answer to the question is, if it's a matched antenna, it really doesn't matter how long. You know, and it took me years to figure that out.
Yeah.
So this is why I've created the video series that I have. I started out with the novice, and then went to general, and then went to tech, and then went to the Ask Dave videos. I put up Ask Dave number 130 today. It's aimed at, generally, I'm aimed at techs and new generals.
Good, because we need that. And we're missing out on not getting a lot of these really young people into amateur radio. I have a friend who's the IT guy for Kingston Plantation down in Myrtle Beach. It's a huge conglomerate of hotels, and he said they've had so many problems because when people go on vacation now, they bring every sort of Wi-Fi device they have, and you're standing out in the surf on the cell phone. So one day I asked him, I said, well, how do you handle this if you're getting all these complaints that they don't have the bandwidth or whatever? You don't have but 3 or 4 people working with you. How do you handle it? He said, well, the first thing I do is I ask if they have any grandkids with them. And if they have grandkids with them, I get a grandkid on the phone and we solve the problem in 2, maybe 3 minutes. If they don't have grandkids, we just send a tech over because it's only going to go downhill from there. And these people are the ones we call in to fix our computers.
Yeah.
I mean, smart, they learn differently. They don't learn with big books. They learn from the internet.
Right.
Things like that. They don't sit down with a 5-pound textbook. And we're missing that.
Right.
We're the village elders, and the world has changed as far as how people learn.
Right.
And we've got to understand that. And I would much rather have them, for example, have a basic test and get on the air and discover themselves what RIT does, or a filter, or a bandpass, passband tuning, than to sit there and study 300 or 400 questions. We're not reaching a lot of them because of that.
Well, I think part of it too, and I've run into this many times at our club, my videos deliberately do not teach the test. They teach, now they follow the ARRL books, section for section, not just chapter for chapter, but section for section. And I'll use some of the same graphics, and I'll supplement it with a whole bunch of graphics. And basically what I'm trying to say is, this sounds kind of weird. They throw it at you. Can I tell you what it really means? You know, let's do some demos. Let's do some graphics. Let's show you that what it means when the ionosphere gets hit and why this is important to you, why you care. And I've gotten extremely positive feedback about that. I mean, thousands of comments, but what I've actually had people who just watch the videos and don't bother reading the test, pass the test. So I guess it can be done. My feeling is that hams need to be mentored. They need to get on the air. The best way to learn is to get on the air. That's how I learned.
Right.
And you've got to have a thick skin. You've got to be willing to make mistakes. You've got to be willing to turn the big knob. Believe me, there have been conversations where I've had hams, when I was young, had hams say, now you're doing it all wrong. I wonder if there's somebody else to talk to.
Well, that's a good point. I would like to see them get on the air and make mistakes. That's how they learn. An innocent mistake is never an enforcement problem. Enforcement problems are the deliberate, malicious interference problem. So I'm afraid of them getting on the air and making a few mistakes. That's how you learn.
You know, I have sympathy for these net guys who really can't move, who get stuck with this. But it's just, you know, one of the nice things about SDR radio, you see the whole band.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little problem over here. Look at all that space where there's no band, no trouble.
See that on this 7300. It's the first time I've had a scope like that I could see it.
Oh, I'll tell you what, those scopes are addicting.
Yeah.
Absolutely addicting.
Plenty of places to go.
So, I was just saying in this video, I just finished it out, and it's up. It just went up. So if you're a subscriber to Ask Dave, it's up there, and I don't know, maybe there'll be some comments in the chat group about it.
A lot of these young people too are afraid of being wrong, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, even a broken clock is right exactly.
Twice a day.
Twice a day. It just doesn't bother me. They're not the threats. And you know, there is no Main Street America anymore.
No.
That's the sad thing. I mean, as I was learning the Morse code, I rode my bike 5 miles across town down in South Carolina to Grady Horton's house. And he spent a couple hours out of his time to teach me the code. Now, today, if you let a kid ride a bike 5 miles across town, you'd probably have a visit from social services.
I know.
The world's different.
Yeah,
Hey.
I don't know how I grew up without a bicycle helmet.
All right, guys, let me jump in here a second. Can
We can't do this anymore, Riley. We're being.
are you guys hearing me? You guys hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
But we're taking
All right. Hey, great discussion, but we're running really late tonight, so we're gonna kind of stop this one right now. I've got just a few announcements to make. And then we'll open Hangout up for our viewers out there. Katie, you hadn't said anything in the last few minutes. You got any last minute comments, Katie?
Well, no, I mean, I have a lot of things I could say. I was nodding behind the scenes here to a lot of what Riley and Dave were talking about. And I guess, you know, that really helps me feel better about my decision about trying to get this club up and running out here, because it is so important to have someone help. And, you know, I've been a ham since 2006, and there's still so much that I don't know. So they say, you know, if you're not sure about something, then, you know, teach it to someone else. And so I think it'll give me a good opportunity to improve my skills and things that I know about. When I got my first radio, when I first got my license, my boss sent me home with an Icom 756 Pro 3 and a big spool of coax and said, go figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I mean, literally, and I'm like, I had no idea it was a loaner radio, and I was living in an apartment with my girlfriend, and so I, you know, figured it out. I got it plugged up, but I mean, it took me quite a while to just figure the whole thing out. And the first time I tuned around and finally got everything connected correctly, and I heard someone, was just, it was magic, and it was so exciting. But, you know, I don't know that I would have had any better luck if I watched a video or did something else, but, you know, like you said, just sitting down and playing around with it does help. But I think I would have liked to have been guided a little bit more. But, you know, I'm not the average ham. You know, I got my license while working at the ARL, and my mentors were all people from the ARL. And, you know, my playground was W1AW. So, you know.
And it's extremely hard, Katie, these days, because I remember in the 60s, you would read these articles that there are so many labor-saving devices coming out that we're going to have a problem with what to do with our leisure time.
Yeah, I remember those too.
You know, what did that come from? I don't have any leisure time. All the labor-saving devices just means that we work more. People have less time than ever, and they don't have time to focus on getting new licensees or the clubs or whatever. They just don't have, nobody has any time anymore.
And it's where you have to make that decision. I mean, that was one of my things. I'm thinking, well, I have all this stuff in my craft room, and I really enjoy doing that. That's kind of my time away from the computer. Since I live on a computer or phone for my job, it's like I like to have some hobbies away from it. But I realized, too, that part of my enjoyment of ham radio is helping other people and participating and getting people to to feel the magic of ham radio, just like I do whenever I'm down here. And so I figured it's also be a good excuse to use, create some leisure time. So I'm actually in the shack a little bit more. And it was just, it was a decision that, okay, I don't have any spare time, but I'm going to make some because this is important and I want to do my part.
To do that, and it's very hard to do that. And it is the magic of radio. That's the key phrase. And I remember when I first got a license, I would go out and look at that simple wire antenna strung to the booth. Like, how can I talk to Canada on that? How is that possible?
Right.
It is a magic, and it's very hard to find time to spend bringing people into it. And we've got to do it because the Grim Reaper is taking more of us every year. And I know the whole population is aging, but we need young people. We need their brains and their smarts because they're very smart. They're just smart in different ways, and they learn in different ways than we can accept.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to go. We could carry this thing on for another 3 or 4 hours, and I got to start packing this stuff up to take it to Dayton.
Okay.
maybe we do a special show on this tomorrow just to continue it. We could talk for a long time on this. It's been a great conversation tonight, guys. I've really enjoyed it.
Tom, you just leave everything on, and Dave and Katie, I'll take care of the show.
I tell you what. I'll do this. Let me get a few announcements, a couple of things over with, and I'll leave the show on all night. And you guys can stay on if you want to. I don't mind doing that.
Well, I'm going to say goodnight because I got to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. The word I was going to use was that I'm trying to teach people is persevere.
That's right.
Persevere is my word of the year, so I've been pushing it on others. Mm-hmm. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. What a good conversation. All right, guys.
You bet.
Good night. Good night to everybody. Thanks a lot for being on here.
Oh, there's the new Dayton weather report.
Yeah, there's a new weather report there. Yeah. All right, 73. We'll see you later. I'm going to turn the mixer down. Hey, I'm turning the mixer down, so if you guys say anything, I'm not going to hear it. Good night. Thanks a lot. All right, guys, boy, the show's running just a little long night. I got a couple quick announcements I'll make, and just to get some information out to you. First, I want to say in 1 week we'll be mobile. We'll be going to Dayton. We will be on next Tuesday night. We're going to have kind of a partial show next Tuesday night. It's going to have a lot of information about the trip and times and so forth and what we're going to do. But just to give you just a quick synopsis of it right now, we're going to give away about 60 prizes next week during Hamvention, Friday through Sunday. We got a lot of nice prizes, handy talkies, antenna tuners, HF rigs, all kinds of stuff. All you got to do is answer if we call your name. The trip is very expensive for us. It's going to cost us $2,000 to $3,000 to put the webcast on, and that's all we do. We don't go shopping. We don't sell anything. We put the show on. We work hard for you. So what we're going to do to help our supporters out, if you'd like to donate increments of $10, we're going to put your name in a hat for a CAA 500. This one prize right here is going to go just to our supporters. It's a great 1.8 megahertz to 500 megahertz antenna analyzer. Look it up on the internet. It's the CAA 500 Mark II. It's got LED screen here. It'll plot your SWR and impedances and so forth. It's a great piece of test equipment. And we'll announce this prize on Sunday at noon. You do not have to be present to win. If you donate $10, we're going to put your name in the hat for this prize. $20 gets you two names in. $30 gets you 3 names in, and so forth. You do not have to be present to win. We're going to pick a name and announce it sometime around noontime on Sunday of Hamvention. This is a great piece of equipment. You don't have to donate. If you can't afford to donate, that's fine. Don't do it. We don't want your money if you need it for groceries and gas and things like that. But you're still eligible for all the other prizes, just as one prize we're going to set aside. So do that. Now, next Wednesday, we go mobile. We'll be mobile for 10 hours on Wednesday. We will be streaming the trip live on Wednesday. We'll have the chat room up in the truck so you can chat with us. And we'll also be on HF, on and off on HF all day. This is a little remote shack device I built. This is a little interface unit we're going to use in the truck. And what this does, this connects to Wi-Fi in the truck, and then we will be talking over the radio back here at the shack with a Delta loop antenna about 60 feet in the air. And with this device, we can change frequencies, we can scan, we can set filters, we can turn filters off, we can change lower sideband, upper sideband, we can change bands, we can auto antenna, we can tune the antennas. This little box here will do everything that just about you can do if you're sitting in front of the radio. So it's real simple. It costs about $30 to build this. There's not a lot inside it. And it's just real simple. It's going to connect right into our smartphone with this jack right here. And we've even got a little charging cable on it to charge the smartphone while we're on it. And we can connect back to the shack here two ways. We can either dial a phone number and go through the the cell phone service, or what we're going to do, we're going to use a Magic Jack app, and that means on a little smartphone, we're just going to use a little app that lets us connect through Wi-Fi. It connects through Wi-Fi in the truck, and then that way it's going to connect through the number back here at home. So this is going to be exciting. We'll have HF, and we can coordinate that, on the chat room as we're going. So that's astronaut Doug Wheelock, our friend, astronaut Doug Wheelock. I was talking with him today, and here he is right here. We're changing his schedule around a little bit. He's got a very tight schedule. Instead of coming in Friday afternoon, he's going to be with us late morning to noon on Saturday, and he will spend Saturday and Saturday night with us. So he'll be in our booth as a co-host. That's Colonel Douglas Wheelock, NASA astronaut. So he'll be a co-host with us again. This is the 5th year that Doug has joined us. So that'll be cool to have Doug there again. And come by and see him if you're up there. If you're not up there, watch him on the show, watch him on our stream, and we might even get some autographed pictures for him and send out his prizes too to our viewers that are watching. So we'll see you in about a week on the road. We're going this will be a Hamvention marathon. We're going to do about 48 hours of live stream. We'll stream all day Thursday on the drive. We stream all day Friday on our setup. And you'll see a lot of people come by, people like Gordon or Bob Heil, or who knows who might come by, Ray Novak, Icom. And then, of course, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the show. We'll have prizes for everybody. And then we're going to spend the night there. We'll be too tired to drive all the way back to Memphis, and we're going to head back on Monday. So we'll be 6 days. It'll be 6 days of live streaming. So that's kind of what the deal is here. Hey, watch for us in the afternoons. We usually try to get on HF around 7180, and we post that in our Facebook group. If you do want to donate for this, at the top of the page, there's a donate button. It's real easy. It'll take you to PayPal or a credit card. Just click on donate, and that'll set you up for a chance to win this right here. Also, join our Facebook group. There's a link at the top of the page in the menu to join us on Facebook. We'd love to have you. We have about 6,500 members now in our group. So let's go to Hangout and see if anybody's on. It's getting a little late. Can't stay real late. Boy, I've got to tear this entire studio down. We got to pack all this equipment, cameras, cables, everything, monitors, get it in the truck, get it to Dayton, set it all back up. And I don't know what we're going to do that Monday night when we get back. I'm sure we'll still have a show Tuesday, but who knows what it'll be like. So let me see if I can get Hangout up here real quick. Let's see if we can get Hangout working. So here we go. Let me turn a couple things off. All right, here we go. All right, let's see. Well, I see Bill out there. Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Hey, Tom.
I got you, man.
How you doing?
You doing good? And so we got Bill there. Looks like we got Douglas in there. And we've got let's see, who else we got in here? We got Mike in here.
Looks like Mike.
We got Mike in here.
K-A-V-I-L.
Yeah, we got a few people in here so far. So, okay, boy. I'm ready for a peanut butter sandwich. I'm hungry.
Oh,
Hey.
you can have those again?
What was that?
So,
How are you, fellas?
hey, Uper.
Yeah, Bill. You week's poster.
So, anyways, where did Tom go? Tom ran
I'm
away
here.
on us?
I'm here.
Uh-oh. Tom Rand. There he is.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, okay. I want to say something about what Riley was saying.
Yeah.
New people being shuffled off to the side there. Back in what was it, 1981, after I got to the Pentagon, I went to the Pentagon Amateur Radio Club. Okay, and as a novice, I was invited to come in and sit down on a couch for the noon hour. It was the advance and the extras that were allowed to get on the radios, and I guess you'd say I get kind of a little disappointed, So, 1983, I went out to Dayton, and I I got my technician, and I came back, and I posted up on the bulletin board that I had made I made an upgrade, Well, that didn't go over good, and they had a Drake 4C line that was separate and distinct from the console that they had there, and Haas Karimi, W8CI said to me, he says, "Well, why don't you operate?" I says, "Well, I don't dare to operate that radio over there." He goes, "No, use this thing over here." So I'm here, and I'm working CW, and this extra comes crashing through the door, and he goes, "What the heck is he doing over there?" And I looked at him, and he goes, "He's operating. What does it look like?"
Yeah, that's cool.
No, I mean that's just the way people. You get inferior when you're when you're being
So you were
lambasted there by people that have a higher class license. I mean, they're supposed to be teaching you or assisting you in your learning processes, and all they're doing is giving you stuff.
Yeah. Well, it all worked out okay.
Yeah, well, hey, I studied on my own. I didn't have anybody help me. I mean, I just got the books. I read the books. I did the questions. I did the tests, and I mean,
Well,
Yeah, I did the same thing. I did my novice in a class, but the rest was just
Well,
all up.
hey, when I got my license at 16, I don't think there was another ham in my big city of 1,900 people. So you learned it on your own, kind of. Let's see, I see Jeffrey in here. Jeffrey usually goes to bed by this time. Jeffrey, you're still awake?
Hey, maybe not.
Where's Jeff?
No.
Hey, Jeff. How you
Well, I
doing,
made my
Jeff?
donation to you, Tom, so I'm just waiting for you to call my name on Sunday there.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, you're
Hey,
working
Jeffrey,
now.
we can
You're
hear
working.
you.
Yeah, you're getting back. You're getting back.
Oh,
to
there you go. Okay, you can hear me.
Yeah, you're getting back to your old habits.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Now, I never know which microphone's going to pick up from the cameras, but there's so much. Wait till you get a flex radio, and of course you're waiting for mine, but hopefully you have to wait a lifetime for that.
I could go see that guy from Texas again.
There's so many. There's so many microphone inputs on the. Well, how do you say it? In the control panel here on the.
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
On the computer. I wish I could show you real quick. Let me see.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There's a lot of mics to select from in here.
What computer does he have? There's only one mic
That's
jack
a
on the
flex.
computer.
He's talking. He's got a flex radio,
Oh,
which I'm in the wheel for when he kicks the
Oh,
bucket.
absolutely. Yep.
I want you to take care of that flex.
Always take care of my radios, Tom.
All right. I want it to be in tip-top shape when I get it.
It'll be
I
great.
don't know. He's probably going to Jersey Shore again. So you better watch out. He may leave it there.
I take my Maestro to the Jersey Shore and leave this one running. So.
Okay.
Make sure you don't take, you'll have sand in that thing, you take it ashore.
Oh no! Don't do that.
God, I'm thinking.
Hold on, I want to show you something. Let's see if I can do this.
I'm thinking about getting me an Icom 7610. Kathy keeps telling me to buy new radios. I keep telling her I don't need one, but she keeps trying to make me buy a radio.
Buy a reconditioned, or talk to the guys out at Flex for 6,500.
Then I'd have to have a computer to go with it.
Flex.
That's just half the radio. Then you need a computer to go with it. I'm gonna get all yours together, right? Your computer comes with the radio, doesn't it?
You got
Yeah, well, once Jeff is gone, he won't need the computers either.
Well, you know that's a good point. I've never worked the details out with Jeff. I know I'm getting the Flex when he kicks the bucket, but hey, the Flex does consist of the computer too, right, Jeff?
Well, Tom, this is the Flex 6600M, which you don't need the computer for.
Oh,
This one's got the faceplate on it, so you don't.
okay.
Got the knobs.
Okay,
You're in
cool.
good shape.
Cool.
You're in great shape, but I want to see if I can try to figure out how to show you this. What do we go up into the ellipse here on the screen share? Let me see if we do a screen share. There we go. Here it is.
There it is. Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can do this.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
So here's all the microphones and all the stuff that comes along with Flex Radio. That's why I sometimes have trouble. I can make that a little faster. Can you see that? Look at all that crap that comes along with Flex. That's why sometimes I have trouble finding which microphone to use when I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah. Well,
Can you see that?
you'll get it figured out.
All right. Now how do I stop this? All right.
I really am thinking about a peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah, one more show, Tom, and then on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he didn't tell you there, Michael. He's gone and he's recorded the show that's going to be shown next Tuesday.
He's doing what?
I have recorded some of the show for next week, but we will be in the chat room. We will be live. Of course, during that time too, we do need to start trying to pack the truck because we're leaving bright and early the next morning. And guys, if you saw what I've got to tear down and label and try to box up, you might not even go on that trip.
Tom, I don't blame you for recording. You know, I wouldn't blame you when you come back the following week after the Zoom not to even have a show.
We'll see how it
I'm
goes.
surprised some of you guys, like Keith Harding, you guys don't have a trailer. You just hook onto the trailer and go.
What's that about Sunday night?
You just have a trailer. You hook on a trailer and you pull a power cord off and internet cord off the wall and go.
Yeah, but we don't come back Sunday anymore. It's too long. I mean, we usually get out of here at mid-afternoon, and we're dead tired. We're also sleepy. It's a 10-hour drive. You know, when the driver gets sleepy, the next driver takes over, and he's good for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're smart, Tom. You're doing the right thing. You did the right thing.
Get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, we were surviving for going that Tuesday.
Mile and a half. It's like, I hope I can make this. Only got a mile to go.
I'm just waiting for you to call my name for that analyzer there because I sent my donation to you. So
all right, yeah. Well,
hey, call you that. So
you might get it.
Gonna call you.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping for the analyzer too because I sent.
No.
Well, let me just say, I think several of you guys on the Hangout here tonight have have made contributions, and I thank you. I thank you for it.
It's all good, Tom.
You guys are going to have to fight it out, though.
Wait to see you, all you guys, next week, whoever makes it out there. And I am going to hang it up right now, but Tom, hopefully we'll talk before then, or email, whatever. But we'll see you Thursday, as long as my airplane makes it to the ground in Dayton, and you guys get up there, and we'll probably talk on your chat when you ride in on Wednesday.
All right, cool.
You know, I heard on the other net I was listening to last night, I can't recall who it was, someone from Cincinnati or Dayton, that they did sell Hair Arena.
Really?
They did sell it.
They put a fence around it.
Got this ready, Tom.
Yeah, cool.
Got it all ready.
Cool.
We'll see.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to watch it from
Who's the other Mike here? Who's
KD8DLL?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Have you been in Hangout before?
Yeah, a few times. I usually don't. My mic hasn't been working the last couple times, so.
Oh, okay,
I
cool.
didn't really say anything, but I finally got a better mic this time.
Cool. Hey, you guys, listen for me in the afternoons. When I go for my walk, I've been walking about 1.5 miles a day. The last few days, I've taken Remote Shack with me, and I've worked HF as I went walking.
Well, I still haven't heard you yet.
Yeah.
Is that where we hear that?
Well, yeah, you hear that too.
All you hear is.
Yeah, you hear that too.
Where do you hang out around, Tom?
Well, we'll usually post a frequency on Facebook with the frequency, but somewhere around 7180.
Okay.
Yeah, I listen here in New England, and I don't hear him, so.
Yeah, we'll just hear the huffing and puffing as he's walking there.
Yeah.
He didn't tell you he's going to leave tomorrow and he was in the walk to Dayton this year.
Yeah, well, I hope to work him when I get to Union, Ohio, about 11 o'clock. He should be about halfway up there.
11 o'clock. It depends when we get out of here. With 4 of us, I'd like to be out of here about 8 o'clock, but I bet you we push 9 o'clock getting out of town. So 9, 10, 11. Man, we won't even be halfway to Nashville, Tennessee by then. We'll have 8 hours to go. Well, yeah, we'll work you. Just check in the chat room and tell us you're on. We'll make a contact with you.
I hope Tom looked at the gas prices out in the summertime, calculating. I'm not calculating them on this time. The last 2 days, the gas prices have went up 30 or 40 cents.
So what is it now? $3?
$2.89.
It's probably the same down in Memphis.
I don't know what it is. I don't ever pay attention to gas prices. I just put it in.
Oh, somebody's got the bucks. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Mike. I got the bucks. I went and I upgraded on my American Airlines. I'm flying first class from Boston to DC.
Aren't you special?
And I'm flying first class from LaGuardia back to Boston. So.
Oh my goodness! Watch out for those people in first class.
And I'm sitting in seat 2, going from DC to row 2 from DC to Dayton, and row 1 from Dayton back to LaGuardia.
Oh,
do they include a parachute with them tickets now? You never know.
Hey.
Yeah. You haven't helped those other people in first class? Well, you're there. Okay.
Yeah, well, I need to charge my phone while I'm flying. You know what I mean?
You probably be able to do that in first class. Yeah.
So
they'll tell them you can't charge your phone.
I won't be around next Tuesday. I won't be around next Tuesday. I'm going to be sleeping.
You read on that ticket, it says qualifying to fly with a phone, they want dead batteries so they won't explode.
No, we won't worry about that.
Well, I'm taking a sleep. I see it's going on 11 o'clock here, so I'm going to get ready to call it a night here.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I was
we'll
gonna
say
pull
good
up.
night to y'all.
I was going to pull a picture up. I got a picture for
Oh,
Bill
he's
here.
got something to show us. Okay.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Just take this. I don't know if I can find it or not.
I gotta go look at the date and or look up and see. I heard that they are putting some asphalt grindings down.
They're putting some down as an aisleways between the
The traffic runs.
Yeah.
between the flea market
Too much mud.
spaces. They're not asphalting the whole. They're not asphalting the whole thing. They're just asphalting the little pavement
just
strip,
road paths.
a little pavement strip between them.
Yeah, just travel paths.
Yeah, that could
they
still
don't
get
make
that
mud.
could still get pretty bad. So I don't know. I'm looking at the 10-day forecast, and yesterday it showed no rain up here. But I'm looking at the 10-day forecast now, and it's showing rain. It's showing rain. I think Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Well, Tom, you gotta look to the west of you and see what that is.
Look at what?
You gotta look to the west of Memphis to see what's there. That's what matters. Now, we don't want any rain out there.
Well, I don't know.
But it comes from the west.
See if I can pull this picture up. I don't have a very good way of filing my pictures. I can just go everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about rain.
Uh-oh. This picture, Tom, thinking is something we can see in a late night crowd here.
Probably could. I'm probably not gonna find it. I'm probably getting close. Oh man, I'm tired tonight. My ears are ringing. I don't know why my ears are ringing tonight.
It'll probably snow in Hamvention. Just about all our snow is gone here.
Boy, it used to snow there when I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna find it.
Still got an awful lot of ice floating on that lake out there.
No.
I had a picture I was going to show Bill. He was talking about his airplane tickets. You got to kind of watch what you get when you book those cheap tickets. On one of the airline sites, you know how they have the picture of the airplane fuselage there, and they have a picture of the seats in it. They on the right side, they had 4 seats, but in the picture, 2 seats were inside the plane and 2 seats were outside the plane. I was trying to find it. For Bill. So, these are the cheaper
That's really
seats.
the cheap seats.
But you could fly out there. In fact, I don't know if you guys remember or not, and it happened during Hamvention probably 20 years ago. I had one of my employees in Hawaii. He was on that Aloha jet. Do y'all remember the whole shell came off that jet? And it looked like a flatbed truck with just seats, and everybody was out in the open. Do y'all remember seeing that picture?
Yeah.
One of my employees, he was one of the guys in that picture right there, and he had the nerve to tell me when he came back he lost all his receipts for his expense report. But I bet that'd been some ride, man. The whole shell was torn off. It was just like a flatbed truck, and you had just seats there, and that jet was, up there, That was terrible. But that was during Hamvention. We got a phone call. We got a phone call, and we saw it on the news that night in our hotel at Hamvention.
I'm looking here at this at the weather there for Greene County. Next Wednesday, it says it's supposed to be 83 degrees with variable cloudiness. Thursday, cloudy with spotty showers, 79 degrees. Friday, they're expecting some sun with some thunderstorm possible. Saturday is supposed to be mostly cloudy and humid, 73. Sunday's supposed to be considerable clouds. This is going to change between now and the time we get there. And Monday, the day I leave, is going to have thunderstorms. So I mean, hey, what the heck?
Yeah, we won't know. We won't know until we get closer. But like I said, yesterday it was showing no rain at all. Today, when I looked, it was showing 40 and 50% on, I think, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's probably already changed again. But and it'll definitely change before we get there. That's for sure.
Well, we can only hope.
Well, I'll be dry sitting in the house here watching you in the video.
All right. Well, cool. All right.
I'll wave at you, Mike.
That Saturday, I got to work at the One Welcome Center, but I'll have the computer on, and I'll be watching it on the computer there while I'm there. So.
Well, that's probably the day we're going to call your name, so you better be watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch for that there.
All right. Well, I see my friend Mark P. in the chat room here. Hey, Mark P. KEHHIW, I think is his call, and he's a new ham. He's been coming to Hamvention for like 25 or 30 years, but he just got his license here a couple months ago, and I'm taking a radio up to him. He's purchasing a radio from someone down here, and I'm going to take it up to him. So next week he will have his radio. I built him an antenna and he can stretch up, and he'll be on the air next weekend.
Yeah.
All right. Can't wait.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Okay, I was going to do this. I'm calling it a night, guys. I'm going to say 73. If I don't catch you before, I'll be watching you on the Hamvention.
All right. I'm getting out of here too, guys. I'm tired. I got to rest up from this trip.
Yeah.
We'll see you later. Good night.
73, Bill. Tom.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, hey, I think we had a pretty good show tonight. A lot of interesting things going on. So tune in next week for more details. It's going to be a good trip. We'll see you later. 73. Remember, tell your friends to watch Amateur Radio Roundtable every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time.